of these kind of things, so that our country can be peaceful, and so that Kenya can play its rightful place, being the anchor state in this region. So pray for our country, so that the spirit of conflict, the spirit of cattle rustling will be defeated. And we are going to work as government to make sure that we deal with that menace, deal with that challenge, so that we can keep peace in our country and make sure that Kenya occupies the place, its rightful place in the community of nations, to provide leadership and to anchor the peace and tranquility of our region. So pray for our forces, pray for our policemen and women, our security agencies, so that they can discharge their responsibility. I will be demanding of them results, because they always complained that they were curtailed by the fact that they had to look for resources in the office of the president. I have now separated their budget. They are running their own budget. They are running their own plan. They have their own strategy. And we will be demanding from them security of Kenyans, because that is their mandate, and we will be making sure that they deliver on that mandate. We will now be rolling the wheels of government to make sure that we deliver on all the other issues. Tomorrow, I have asked my deputy to put together the teams so that we can work on our drought situation that is threatening many people. We've arranged some food. We're working on with the governors on the ground and other leaders to make sure that no Kenyan dies because of hunger. We want to make sure that that does not happen.
Kagomwa gandone tunatana bachama ita GTAP Dr. Kalua Green gole mwega chini go subete mweta Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua gole tete seriale go chicha mjinete mengige chenege tena inusege go batise en timwagige go subka Dr. Kalua go gamwa gole go utinota go endi kuibu asenet na tane missing en pitonwe ga emete angot kisuldaen kosam serikali ngalala ngamotika pitonwe ga emete korok.
Chama cha GTAP ni chama ambacho kimejitolea kuhusika katika masuala ya mazingira, kuendeleza mambo tofauti ambayo yanahitajika katika nchi yetu tukufu. Masuala ya shamba system ama kuweka mashamba ndani ya misitu. Ipo misitu ambayo inawezekana kufanyika hivyo na imekuwa ikifanyika kwa muda mrefu. Matamshi yametajwa na viongozi ambayo ni matamshi tofauti ya kufanya watu wavamie misitu. As a Kenyan and a very passionate environmental person, that there will be no release of the moratorium before a proper research and study on gains and losses, if any, that have been found out. So I believe that this will be very professionally guided by the institutions that are aware. Kenya depletes 150 million trees on an annual basis for energy use. So for us to achieve a 1% forest cover, we need to plant 730 million trees. So you can imagine any effort that slows down the process of increasing forest cover, we are going to end up depleting what we have, which will definitely mess us up. This is not political time. This is a time that we all put our heads together. The one with little information, much more information, institutions, corporates, and everyone, we must bring ourselves together to create policy that is going to be of advantage to the people of the country. Once you remove people from forests or disallow the interaction of human beings and their animals in the forest, then you have more water in the country, because the water seems to percolate and it goes in a natural way into our rivers, and we can continuously have this. The moment you farm in these highland areas and the land is open and we are not using the smart agriculture, the soil tends to be taken away and we are losing the best of what we have. And this is actually what we have for the future of our nation. Our grandchildren expect us to leave soil as a minimum. So when we have exported all the soils because of messing up the protected areas, where would we be heading as a nation.
Katach meng'ikab Kaptagat en boiboiyet ng'alaletab Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua kosubkei ak kawegunet noton nebo shamba system. Kosubkei ak meng'ichoton komwoe icheket kole wendi konyoru ribset noton nekararan ketik ak konyor keljin meng'ik kosubkei ak amitwogik ak tuguk alak.
Kosubkei ak meng'ichoto komwa ichek kole wendi konyoru ribset nekararan ketik ak konyor keljin meng'ik kosubkei ak amitwogik ak tuguk alak.
Pelis program ni system nzuri ambayo inaendelea. Shamba inakatwa miti, baada ya kukatwa miti wananchi wanaenda wanatengeneza hiyo shamba, miche inaletwa inapandwa. Yule mwananchi analima ile shamba, anapanda mahindi yake, mahindi ikikua, miti ikikua, mahindi inakuwa, anakata mahindi yake, anachunga miti. Ikikuwa miti kubwa, hata mkiangalia nyuma yetu ya hii nini, unaona msitu yenye yuko hapa. Hii msitu yuko hapa ilipandwa ikitumiwa shamba system. Kwa hivyo shamba system ni kitu ambaye is real. Watu tu wanaenda wakipotosha watu, wanasema sijui tupande miti za kienyeji, sijui tufanye nini, lakini hiyo ni bure. Shamba system is the best. Na tunaweza thibitisha kwa kuona hata msitu yenye yuko nyuma hapa ambaye ilipandwa kutumia shamba system.
Kaimuch kolas kakwautienotok eng nekamwa ichek kole ngot kesuldae kwendi ng'weny kaimutikab bananda eng emet ak konyor biikab emoni amitwogik cheyomei.
Mising achek tisik chekimitei karibu yuto forest yu. Ko lazima kora kerib forest. Ako lazima kora kotoret forest biik chok amu yakimite yu kemi akobo biik. Ako lazima kora kerib kayanet nebo Wakristo chechok.
Jukumu letu sasa kama wakaaji wa hapa Kaptagat na Elgeyo Marakwet, tuanze kupanga mkakati jinsi ya kupanda misitu, miti, chakula na hizo zote zinakuja kuuziwa watu wengine ili tupate faida. Kwanza nataka niseme 1997 hii miti yenye mnaona hapa hivi, sisi ni wakaaji wa hapa Kaptagat tuliipanda, na hiyo miti tunataka kuambia serikali kwanza Gachagua hii miti ikuwe ya wananchi ya Kaptagat, sababu tulipanda 1997. Kwa hivyo sisi tutaanza kuwabe hizo miti. Sisi tuko na masomilas, sisi wengine tunaanza somilas ndogo ndogo, hasa vijana kama huyu ameanza kuregister hiyo kampuni yake.
Katestai kokimit ichek kole kosubkei ak tetutionoto bo shamba system ko kikomuch kokolokis timwekab emoni chechang, ni agenge koboto timoto bo Kaptagat.
Logoiyotwech porosti asikobit kekol minutik cho, kekol bandek. Amu kikilechech kekol tuguk chebo arawek somok komatoretech achek kei biikab Elgeyo Marakwet. Kimache bandek che imuchi kotoretech amu kitinye rubet nebo bandek. So kimwoni kongoi mising ak kemwochini kora kongoi president nenyo William Samoei Ruto nekikikwa inendet 100%. Kilechini kongoi, kimwochini kongoi ak kelechini toretech kora yotwech komosta nebo kwenik kou kei chepyosok. Ak kitoretech kora yotwech ketil ketik chekikoek machwa, chekikokong'yo asikobit kotoretech achek keiso milas amu akot atononi nywa iso mila.
Katestai kokimit inendet kora kole ngot kesuldae tetutionotok kowendi keterteri kaimutik neboto temisietab tulonok anan escarpments chebo Kerio Valley chotok kikeborionchi kaimutik cheboto ng'isyokenet.
Kakiyat forest kele beketil ketik, kakiyat forest kokol mkulima bandekchi, kokol marakwekchi, kokol viasinik ak korib ketit nekakokol biikab forest. Ako eng communities checho sana ngache nguno eng Elgeyo Marakwet komite CFA, mi community forest associations chekikechop sikotyo coexistent forest ak biik sikotyo makiboisie bundukit kerib ketik, kobois ng'alalet nebo community ako Kenya Forest Service. Ko kikosulda eng Keyo South, forest nenyo nebo Kipkabos, forest nenyo nebo Sabor, forest nebo Kaptagat, nebo Benon kotindoi the largest tree cover in Kenya nguni amun initiatives cheu chotok chikichop serikali koyai kasi biik ako forest. Ara kiwekchini kongoi naibu wa rais Gachagua inendet akemwoni kelechini karon neyat anyun forest kokisome kora ketil ketik cho kikoet chamachua.
Kong'alali inendet eng tuyet notok kaimuch koyai koboto meng'ik eng komosta nebo Kaptagat. Kong'ete county nebo Uasin Gishu, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Gladys Yator.
Ak en report age go en kasarta noton netetat kobit keyat sugulisiek en tamit noton nebo somok kong'eten betut noton nebo rani kakomonge alak en sigik chebo sugulitab werik nebo Kemeloi en county nebo Nandi akosom ministry noton nebo somanet koyochi chikilisiet kandoinatet noton nebo sugulinoton en mwaet kole maititaat ole kindochindoi sugulinoton. Inyoru report.
Kaibor kaimetab kesikichoto koboto meng'ichoto eng mwaet kole kikotestai kipsomaninikab sugulinoto kwai kambaket ole kosubkei ak nito komwa ichek kole nyolu keyai chikilisiet kenai kine kotestai kokon kambakanoto.
Eng sugulini kong'ete kanyo the current principal kou ni nebo somok ra. Mi netai nekikaak komakimoche. Komi nebo oeng nekikaak sikesiman. Nematakoitu kikiwekune eut paket. As ak nito ne brani ko nebo somok. Chichi ko kikonde un the teachers, konde un the community, konde un the students, konde un subordinate staff. Is very special. Akon kiwe ofisi nye kuikakamwa komewendi ko ipkolejinin kwenda angalia mtu fulani mamache ong'olose.
Kanerekyi ichek kandoikab sugulinoto eng mwaet kole eng kasarwek chekaba kambaket kipsomaninichoto keyache sigik chepkondok chechang.
Len ngalek chetesetai sugulini komache chetesetai sugulishek alak. Kibire lagok ore, kione lagok matatinda lakwet banga sio 400. Keone akobeshe lakwet 300 transport sukibu siling 400. Chwali mi ngala jojo. Akeon lagok ne sanda yu kubar lagok ko tang birsimait amatindo ko transport. Oba mali mendo ko komanda ngolota. Kila bana surura ba poteni kabisa.
Kitep korok netai 3000. Chiki bor damages, chiki ka akimakomite damages chiki teketebe sikik 3000. Eng nito ni nebi nguno kokisichi notices. Parondo kwa wazazi keleji koib 1000. Aongileni e gharama nikotestai komaita 1000. Ngojanga ko 200. Kitinya population nebo 1200 students. Akongea nguno cumulative nebo rabishek kikiumi ko 1.2 million. Nerjang kondo jo saidi.
Kamwa ichek kora kole manyorune kelchin ichek sugulinoto ko eng tai eng ne eng kasari kesire kiboitinik chebunu komoswek cheloen koboto nemanyoru ichek tenders.
Ngalekab tendering chekingayat Kenya ko kigeny ko kikikochin akot chi nebo reservice kokon ngot ko kangwek kekochin chi nebo community ngot ko kane ko kengabek kekochin chi nebo community ngot ko kana supply nebendo kekochin chi nebo community lakini kakoik nguno anyun kakobit egocentrism anan kikure ne mokyingei kalikayo kakoik kayamui akolyan kaip bendo imach itach buchari sukul imach itach kichinjio sukulit ngoikin pek nekatangoe chi imach inde tinget sukul so iwe kumaanisha komakimi kiy age tugul ne benefit communities ing sukulit noto no igero. So as far as this is concerned komakengen kele the benefit aya. Secondly amache ateb kora ale iwe akot chito neteme chaik komami chi ne skilled nebunu around akot kotem chaik mami chi nebunu around kotem chaik akot inegei akot chito kobut chaik inegei komami chi nebunu around kobut chaik. So we are seriously asking, is there any other business neingen chichi apart from the head?
Kounoto kosome ichek ministry nebo somanet koib kakwautiik chebo chokchinet ole moche ichek keisto kanetindet neo koboto ketoret ichek konyorune kelchin sugulinoto ko eng tai.
Kikonyoliso biikab Kemeloi, kikonyoliso sigikab Kemeloi, kikonyoliso lagokyok chekikinde sukulitab Kemeloi kosubkei ak amunet ne makingen. Tenders akot chebo ngwek koibu principal makinoe kele kolaunono. Tenders chebo tukun akot cheu chekeribe angolo
Nikimache kityongone komye school akomyakitu lagokyok kokonyo mwalimuiyot age ne kararan kabisa akeboy mwalimuiyot noto kalia board of governors kalia makiwasta tugul amu ikoshindos ili kutaweza kufanya kazi na umoja na wananchi kwazo ko en uye kasom kabisa ulimbo ka education kokonech mwalimuiyot age.
Kong'eteke county nebo Nandi logoiwekab emet chebo Kass. Kainenyu ko Nelson Tarbei.
Meng'isie en kaiweisiet meng'ik koyob Kabema makimeny en Chebalungu Bomet County kosubkei ak noton nekotestai konyor kamuiset kobun biik che mwaitoenge anan chekimwaitoen kele ofisaekab segeisiet kobun county nebo Kakamega. Kosubkei ak meng'ichoton kondochini Kiplam Arap Kirumget ko kikobet mali kosubkei ak kaberberisiet kobun bichoton tomabit konai kole tokyingei ne chemwoe kole yae chikilisiet akobo yautik anan chebo chorset chekitestai en county nebo Kakamega ak mwaat kele kitinygei ak alak en meng'ik anan chebo Magimeny.
Kosubkei ak meng'ichoton koyob Magimeny en Chebalungu kondochin Kiplam Arap Kirumget kokamwa ichek kole miten biik chemwoitoengei kole ofisaekab segeisiet chekokotestai konyalil meng'ichoton ak kobeten ichek malikwak.
Utikyuk kekuron Kiplamiat ameng'une Magimeny Kapema sublocation. Kakib nafasi ni kewokyi serikali en tabusiek chekikenyoru en ireyu. Kikeyai koroni ko breeding ground officers from CID, that is Western Province, akobwone koroni akonyokotome biik kole kichor karit, kichor simoit, ako by the end of the day kakikomut chichoton komuti chichoton ngwo komie olin kobet kesit kwame rabinik. Kimyetoen nekakimut mwalimu yan kimut koron kelenji kolipan chichoton 1,100 ak kelenji anju 10,000 weken gaa, wini weka. Okwa ngole yon kakinde fain en kotini ak kele ngima ilipan 17,000 ak tongilok 7 koyo manyit tongilok 7 komoche otwonji en kotini. So how comes kimukto kono kokobe bichu chekibune ngotko kiyoche bichu. So this area has become a breeding ground from heartless CID officers from Western Province.
Tuguk chekikoyak en yu kobo kwong'et amu kitotebe ole ngot komi chi nerukoche kobo Western, why is Western kobwone Magimeny? Kalyan asikong'et chi tarit netiriren mwenyun mi rabisiek chenyokiibe Magimeny buch ak ketochoren bikyok. Amakingen amune kolelen kityo ng'alek chenwokech. Kalyan manyone ne chito akonyokolech uni. Kalyan sikenam bikyok ketochoren oker boisiechuk. Kikoseretyo boy onjon momi korik. Kenyo kenome chekobore kosich kaba kerebe kora ot karit.
Kamwa ichek kole bichoton mwoe kole ofisaekab segeisiet en county nebo Kakamega komwoe kole yoe chikilisiet akobo yautik chebo chorset chekokotestai en county nebo Kakamega kobaten momi kabarunet age tugul neiboru kele ofisaekab segeisiet ak en yoton ko kikonyor kanyalilet meng'ichoton mising ko nebo let nekoibet karinyin mwalimu agenge koyob kamasotok nemwaat kele miten en eunekab bichoton.
Alen kit nekomoche andounen kityo ko rirek chekitindoi en Magimeny ireu chekimoche kemwochin serikalinyon en koimutik chekikere kimwech biik chechang en area ini chebwone biik kong'eten olin bo Kakamega ak nyokonome biik komokinoe amune. Bwone alak konyokonome chito ak kole kochor rabisiek. Bwone alak ak nyonome chito ak kole karit ngot ko kikichorsen. Kobwone alak komwoe kole mito nekikinam nekiboisien karinyin en chorset en olin bo Kakamega. Bichuton tugul kong'eten olin bo Kakamega.
Nebo somok kenam karitab chito en mwalimu nekikowo kosawisan exam en Nairobi. Ko kimi karit kayu. Kinyo keker karinoto kele kikichorse en Kakamega. Komwa tarikit nekikichorsen ko kimiten mwalimu Nairobi kosawisanishe ako tinye bunguok chebo karinoton en gaa. Ingosek konyo koib kora karinotet kole keib kwoyo. Keib kwa Siongiroi. Akwa kele kobur en yu. Tun kolinda mwalimu kokowi kinyo keib karinotet kora kele kokiib kwa Kakamega.
Koikochi ichek serikali kasarta nebo betusiek 7 koyai chikilisiet ak koibchi kakwautik chekimen chebo ng'atutik bichoton ole kamwa ichek kole meng'isie en kayweisiet neo.
Ko kwaib yo kokimoche konai kityo mandasi ak wakili ak women rep. Kakikonu betusiek 7 ngot ko makemwowech en 7 days ngot ko makimwowech kesore karit en yu.
Kabit nitok en kasarta nekoimongei ak ichek kibagengeit nebo konetik nebo Kuppet mornetab Bomet kotinye kaimetabgei akobo yautik chebo rumisiet koityi konetik ole en nguni kokibeten konetik somok county nebo Bomet sobonwekwak ak alak en konetik komeng'isie en kanyuisiet kosubkei ak logoiwek chebo rumisiet chekokotestai kikochi ichek. Kong'eten county nebo Bomet, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyun ko Festus Rono.
Ken report noton hakituch logoiwek aran chebo emet logoiwek alak koitunen sait tisab noton nebo bet ng'eten nebo Kass TV. Kiweksi en nguni ak tonyon en betutab raini kimi boto Eliud Owalo inendet ko UDA Strategy and Policy Secretary en chamait noton nebo UDA. Kiweksi en kasarta noton.
Have you ever imagined dying on the job?
Why would you think about that? You have nothing. You are disturbing a lot of very powerful wallets here. It's a fact, not a threat.
I cannot help you.
Where do you think the money comes from? Guilty. Hang on, McKenna.
Sanura amerudi kwa wale wasiojua. Mtu yeyote asifungue kinywa chake kuongea na yeyote.
Wewe unasimama kidete kupinga mila ambazo wewe ulizifanya.
Mtoto wa kike akifikia umri anapaswa kuolewa, sio kuleta familia yake shida.
Sanura lazima olewe na Dura.
Join the fastest, reliable and most affordable smartphone network. To get the fiber SIM card, simply Google getfiber.com. Fill in your details and submit your request. Our agents will deliver the SIM card and onboard you. Furahia mtandao na fiber mobile.
Asi imuch ibaraste mung'areng'ung en Kass SME, ibirchi simet sales team en namba 0747527788 anan iyokte email kwo sales@kassfm.co.ke. Ibara mung'areng'ung raini kokebaraste en Kass SME.
Catch every single moment of all 64 matches of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Live on SuperSport. Here for every fan. Only on DSTV.
Imarisha burudani yako na Star Times. Jibambe na surprises za kipekee kwenye channel zetu za watoto, filamu za Hollywood, Nollywood na Bollywood. Upinzani unaposisimua magwiji, mabao kalikali kutoka ligi kuu ya Ulaya Bundesliga. Telenovelas moto za kuguza moyo wako. Kama ni wanyamapori au mtindo wa kimaisha, unapata zaidi kwenye Star Times kwa bei ile ile. Jiunge sasa kwenye Aerial Classic Bouquet kwa shilingi 899. Utazame zaidi ya chaneli 75 au Dish Smart Bouquet kwa shilingi 999 tu kwa zaidi ya chaneli 105 kwa siku 30. Burudani ya hali ya juu kwa bei ya furaha.
Chut Smartphone Network. Nitindo jepchebindo ne mibarak. Aginyorchi bei ne nyumnyum. Asinyoru fiber SIM card igugulen gityo getfiber.com. Inyit details che Google agiyokte. Ibun agents chejok SIM card ako yoleimi ako registernin. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile. Fiber Mobile, truly Kenyan.
Leo tuko hapa juu ya shughuli ya kusaidia community ya Githogoro, kuwapatia chakula kwa sababu tunajua tunaelekea wakati wa mzimu wa Christmas.
Wale watu leo wanapata misaada ni watu wa kijiji inaitwa Mji wa Huruma, kijiji inaitwa Githogoro. Tuko na wengine wanatoka Kashie na wengine wanatoka part of 72.
Today has been a great day. We have been with Lotto here. They were able to feed 1,000 people from Githogoro slum. And we chose Githogoro because these people are very special. They are staying at a place where there are no facilities. They have no daily bread. There are some who came and they actually told us if we don't give them food, they will not be able to eat.
Watu wa Lotto ndio wametuita wakatupea sikukuu na tumeshukuru sana kwa hayo.
Nimepata sikukuu yenye naenda kukula na familia yangu.
Nashukuru sana kwa ile kidogo leo mmetuletea. Naomba Mungu awabariki sana.
Shukrani sana kwa kutukumbuka.
Asante sana Lotto Foundation.
Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Yes, Sula, how are you? I am very fine, Inspector. Inna baby. I'm in maternity. How is your daktari yako? Daktari wakunga. Wakunga hii. Alia. Wananikosea heshima kabisa, Inspector. Alia. Na kwenda wakifike hii. Sababu kuchunasa arikotijirenyisha kata Inspector. Bafoya jawa matiani. Exactly. Kakisila kwenda kende nasari. Agile wacha gai nasari. 3 days. Ana nguo. Awana wewe hiyo mtoto hapo nasari ndani. Acha tu la manamba zugul. Nasari. Sagai daktari akasinywa. Aja.
Asinyoru nasari kuigisikiza tune ngungi ejil star 860 star 842 hash. Kass ko kimnatetab comedians ak tienik tugul.
Have you ever imagined dying on the job?
Why would you think about that? You have nothing. You are disturbing a lot of very powerful wallets here. It's a fact, not a threat.
I cannot help you.
Where do you think the money comes from?
Guilty.
Hang on, Makena.
Sanura amerudi kwa wale wasojua. Mtu yeyote asifungue kinywa chake kuongea na yeyote.
Wewe unasimama kidete kupinga mila ambazo wewe ulizifanya.
Mtoto wa kike akifikia umri anapaswa kuolewa, sio kuletea familia yake shida.
Sanura lazima olewe na Dula.
Join the fastest, reliable and most affordable smartphone network. To get the fiber SIM card, simply Google getfiber.com. Fill in your details and submit your request. Our agents will deliver the SIM card and onboard you. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile.
Asi imuch ibaraste mungarengung en Kass SME, ibirchi simet sales team en number 0747-527-788 anan iyokte email kwo sales@kassfm.co.ke. Ibara mungarengung raini kokebaraste en Kass SME.
single moment of all 64 matches of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Live on SuperSport. Here for every fan. Only on DSTV.
Imarisha burudani yako na Star Times. Jibambe na surprises za kipekee kwenye channel zetu za watoto, filamu za Hollywood, Nollywood na Bollywood. Upinzani unaposisimua magwiji, mabao kalikali kutoka ligi kuu ya Ulaya Bundesliga. Telenovelas moto za kuguza moyo wako. Kama ni wanyamapori au mtindo wa kimaisha, unapata zaidi kwenye Star Times kwa bei ile ile. Jiunge sasa kwenye Aerial Classic Bouquet kwa shilingi 899. Utazame zaidi ya chaneli 75 au Dish Smart Bouquet kwa shilingi 999 tu kwa zaidi ya chaneli 105 kwa siku 30. Burudani ya hali ya juu kwa bei ya furaha.
Youth Smartphone Network nitindo jepchebinda ne mibarak aginyorchi bei ne nyumnyum. Asinyoru fiber sim card igugulen gityo getfiber.com. Inye details che Google agiyokte. Ibun agency jok sim card ago yolemi ago registanin. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile. Fiber Mobile, truly Kenyan.
Leo tuko hapa juu ya shughuli ya kusaidia community ya Githogoro, kuwapatia chakula kwa sababu tunajua tunaelekea wakati wa mzimu wa Christmas.
Wale watu leo wanapata misaada ni watu wa kijiji inaitwa mji wa Huruma, kijiji inaitwa Githogoro. Tuko na wengine wanatoka Kashie na wengine wanatoka part of 72.
Today has been a great day. We have been with Lotto here. They were able to feed 1,000 people from Githogoro slum. And we chose Githogoro because these people are very special. They are staying at a place where there are no facilities. They have no daily bread. There are some who came and they actually told us if we don't give them food, they will not be able to eat.
Watu wa Lotto ndio wametuita wakatupea sikukuu na tumeshukuru sana kwa hayo.
Nimepata sikukuu yenye naenda kukula na familia yangu.
Nashukuru sana kwa ile kidogo leo mmetuletea. Naomba Mungu awabariki sana.
Shukrani sana kwa kutukumbuka.
Asante sana Lotto Foundation.
Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Chamge chitakuwa na nyini tagat kora en Kass TV kongeten nguni ako lamba side sombogi ngalali ngalekanchi pa bandap tai ngalekanchi ba economy kuiga mono laba sak 12 ale kwede saini kemiten ketandenyon en petunoton nebo raini ye kemiten ko bota gana kinyigeljin kimi bota Eliud Owalo inendet ko UDF Deputy Secretary General en ngalekab policy ak strategy. Nekimache bitkusi kongen betutab raini utinga ngalekab utango presidents ntangana Ruto's bottom up economic agenda. Igele tosune yetauge serikali gunana ko une ngalekab taxi noton nebo uchumi nebo emet noton nebo Kenya. Kaina nyun ko Stanley Bore ni muchi ya gorate utengen Facebook en Kass FM ntango Kass Tv. So bit kara ko waluntane nyon en petunoton nebo raini na go en WhatsApp anotan go 0747 1060. So bit kengala ngale kana jitete chinche na mege texit noton nebo uchumi nebo emetab Kenya. Kibendi kiwale gutit ke ba Kiingereza na Kiswahili. So bit tegede style en rani. Karibu sana Mr. Owalo. Good to have you in studio. Can you say hi to our viewers before to answer? Karibu sana. Good to have you.
Yamane.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, karibu sana.
Thank you. Good.
Good to have you. Long time.
Yes.
No scene, but nakona to behind the scenes.
Yes. Yes. I'm here eventually.
What have you been up to?
Well, we have been busy with the campaign. Now campaign is over. Politics is over. Now it's time to deliver on the promises that we made to the people by way of governance. Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So now that we have that is the point of penye kila mtu anaangalia saa hizi. It's about mambo ya economy.
Yes.
Maybe you can just take us through when we talk about the bottom up.
Yes.
What does it mean to a common mwananchi, a common man?
Okay.
Yule mtu anaamka asubuhi kama saa hizi,
Yes.
anapanga kazi zake za siku.
Yes.
What makes it different na zile zingine nye tumeona maybe for the past 10 years na what we are now targeting to?
Okay.
Karibu.
Thank you very much. First of all, may I start by congratulating Eliud Kipchoge for that remarkable performance in Berlin.
2:01:09.
Yes, by breaking his own world record.
Yeah,
I think he has made us proud as a country, and we need to build up from there by tapping into the great potential that we have within the sporting fraternity. Now, coming to the bottom-up economic model.
Yes.
Historically, since independence, we have deployed what is referred to as the trickle-down economic model.
Okay.
Now, what we mean by trickle-down is that the government at macro level uses its planning framework to decide what is good for the people by way of economic development and the whole country. Now, this has been happening since independence. But the problem we have had with this approach is that even in instances where we have economic growth, whether it is 5% or 7% as statistics has always postulated, that rise in the level of economic growth does not translate into a rise in the standards of living of the people. Okay? What happens is that we may have economic growth, but the national wealth is not equitably distributed among the Kenyan population, with the result that it ends up in the hands of a few people. Okay? So the level of income inequality has always grown. Yeah? The gap between those who have and those who don't have has increased tremendously over the past 3 decades or so. Yeah? So what we are saying now is that there is need for a change in that paradigm. Yeah? Today, as we speak, the wealth of this country is controlled by about 5% of the Kenyan population. Yeah? The top echelons. The middle class constitute another 10%. Okay? So 85% of Kenyans are actually hustlers. Okay? They are struggling to make a living. This is why we decided to change the paradigm to deploy what is now called bottom-up economic model, so that we start our planning framework from the bottom of the economic pyramid by engaging, by engaging in a participatory manner all the stakeholders, from the various value chains, the productive sectors of the Kenyan economy, by integrating their views and integrating their views into the planning framework. So how did we go about this? We went to each and every country within the Republic of Kenya, mapped out the various stakeholder segments based on the productive value chains in those counties, and got representatives of those stakeholder segments. We had participatory working sessions with them so that they tell us what, in their view, informed by comparative advantages of those regions, are the best economic opportunities which government needs to integrate in the economic planning framework with a view to increasing the standards of living of the people. This is why we are calling it bottom-up. Bottom-up in the sense that you seek the views of the people in a participatory manner, and then use that to inform your planning framework at the national level. So what have we done? We ended up with clear identification of the integral economic activities in each and every country, down up to the locational level, that the government needs to integrate in its planning framework at macro level. Now, we have gone a step further by committing through the president himself, who was then our presidential candidate of the Kenya Kwanza coalition, by way of service delivery, that we are going to deliver on the economic promises that we have made the people. So the candidate then, who is now His Excellency the President William Ruto, signed a charter, committing the Kenya Kwanza government to delivery of those services that the people require at the bottom of the economic pyramid. That is the change in paradigm that we are talking about. That instead of the government sitting up here at macro level and deciding what is good for the people, let us seek the views of the people themselves, because they know
what they want.
Not really what they want, what should be done for them based on the potentials of those regions. So that is what actually the government does for them. So the government then will be responsive to the needs and aspirations of the common mwananchi, as opposed to deciding what to do. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but what do you think? How long will it take? Maybe perhaps to actualize it? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 100 days, to start off?
In any planning framework, you can't deliver everything overnight. So you'll have the quick wins, those things which you can do immediately. Then you'll also have medium-term plans and, of course, the long-term plans. As we speak, the most urgent thing that we need to do, based on what we were told by the people, is to bring down the cost of living. Okay? Yeah. How do you bring down the cost of living? One, invest in agriculture as the most productive sector of the Kenyan economy. 70% of our population is engaged in the agricultural sector. So if you want to bring down the cost of living, put money into agriculture by way of inputs, so that you are able to cut down the cost of inputs, which then translates into a reduction in the cost of the end product. 54% of our disposable income today goes towards food. If you put in more money in agricultural input, starting with fertilizer, for example, you will be reducing the cost of production, with the end result that the price of the final commodity will go down. If we are working with a free market economy where the price is determined by the forces of demand and supply. Assuming demand is held constant and you are putting money into the supply side, then you are actually enhancing the level of supply. Demand being held constant, the price goes down. The price goes down. So that, in a nutshell, as a beginning, is how we want to bring down the cost of food. For a start, the president already has made a proclamation that fertilizer will be available to farmers at the price of 3,500 shillings per 50 kilogram bag, down from the hitherto 6,500 Kenya shillings per 50 kilogram bag. And already 1.4 million bags of fertilizer is already available at the NCPB stores at the disposal of, countrywide, at the disposal of the farmer. So that's the first thing that we need to do: bring down the cost of food. The next thing that we need to do is to stabilize our budgetary framework. We need to rationalize our budget. How do we rationalize our budget? We need to cut down non-essential expenditures that the government is involving. We have got a lot of wastage in national government: travels, workshops, benchmarking, teas, and so on and so forth. Those non-core activities need to be zeroed in on, so that we reduce expenditure on non-core activities, so that government can focus on what it is core business as opposed to non-core business. Once we rationalize the expenditure, we also then need to look at the revenue side. How do we enhance revenue so that we have got adequate resources to finance expenditure as opposed to borrowing from the international market? What we are saying then is that we are going to bring more people into the income bracket or the tax bracket by putting in money. We are setting up a 50 billion shilling hustler fund. We are rolling it out. And this hustler fund is going to go to the productive sectors of the economy, so that our young people who have hitherto not been having jobs, our mothers and sisters who have not been having adequate access to financing to enable them get involved in itinerary trade and commercial activities, can have access to credit at some reasonable level. If that happens, then we are going to bring a critical mass, millions of Kenyans, into gainful employment, either by trade or by way of creation of jobs.
Jobs, yes.
If you put money into agriculture, you are creating what? You are creating jobs. Okay? The other thing that we want to do is to focus on the housing sector. We want to target building of 250,000 low-cost housing annually. Now, when you do that, you are creating a critical mass of jobs by way of provision of labor in that market.
Yeah.
You are also, by extension, creating market for products of the Juakali what? The Juakali sector.
Yeah.
So all this put together, agriculture and housing, will give us the impetus to create jobs, enhance the population of Kenyans who are involved in gainful employment, either directly through jobs or by way of trade, and then bring in more Kenyans into the what? Into the tax bracket. If you bring in more Kenyans in the tax bracket, holding all factors constant, what then it means is that we can drastically reduce our level of taxation and get the same level of revenue that the government needs.
The same
amount. The government needs to finance its development
without increasing the tax.
Without increasing the tax.
Absolutely.
If that revenue is managed prudently, if we put in place a sound governance framework, then we are also going to be able to cut down the external borrowing, because we are actually reeling under the weight of debt today. We have become a full-user country at all levels, at national level up to the individual level. So we also need to cut down on the level of borrowing. Now, once the jobs are there, once people are engaged in the productive sector of the economy, we will enhance our level of savings, and our level of investments as well. That enhances our revenue base as a country. So those are some of the thematic areas on the basis of which our campaign plan, so-called our bottom-up economic plan, was anchored.
Okay.
Yeah, those 4 thematic areas.
Mr. Waller, some people they were asking about the issue of subsidies.
Yes.
We saw what happened when the government scrapped off the subsidy on fuel.
Yes.
Whereby they were saying, okay, maybe previously there was an alleged that maybe it was benefiting around 5 big companies.
Yes.
But again, it was also saving the hustlers in a way, because you see, fuel is a global product.
Yes.
Whereby it drives everything.
Yes.
Food will be expensive. Everything will be expensive because of
fuel.
Fuel, yeah.
Yes.
So, in terms of subsidy, what do you think? Is because the president talked about that you can't be able to subsidize on consumption.
Yes.
Rather we focus on production.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the issue of subsidy? Because some people are saying right now we palm price is talking about 179 shillings per liter of petrol here in Nairobi.
Yeah. In a perfect market situation, we are actually not supposed to have government intervention in the market by way of subsidy. But government comes in to subsidize or to introduce a subsidy in certain integral sectors of the economy because of market failure. Disparities in the what? Disparities in the market. A subsidy is a direct funding, cash injection that the government gives out or pays out to in a given sector of the economy to help in stabilization of the market prices because of market failure. For example, the government can decide to subsidize the cost of some given inputs in the production process of fuel, for example. Now, what then happens is that if the government subsidizes fuel, as it has been doing in the past, it is supposed to translate into a reduction in the cost of fuel at the pump, so that benefit accrues to the final consumer. But that has not been the case. We have had a situation where the government subsidizes fuel by giving that cash, injecting that cash for the benefit of the oil companies. But because of market factors, the price of fuel has not been going down. Yet the government is spending more money on the subsidy. In fact, as we speak, so far the government has spent 144 billion shillings, direct payment to the oil marketing companies. And again, because of budgetary constraints, because resources are scarce, so there are several competing interests for the scarce resources that are available at our disposal as a country. The government fell back on those payments to the oil companies. As we speak, the government owes the oil companies about 66 billion shillings. So what happened is that the oil companies started hoarding the fuel products, in anticipation of capital gain. So we have had a situation where the amount of money the government is spending on subsidy is going up, 144 billion shillings already. The government is subsidizing fuel at about 26 shillings per liter for the case of petrol, and I think another 20-something shillings for the case of diesel. But the price at the pump is still what? Is still high.
Still high.
Yeah. So this is the disproportionality in the market that we are dealing with, that we are spending more money on subsidy, but it is not translating into a reduction in the cost of fuel because there are extraneous variables in the global market.
Where was the money going?
The money was going to the oil companies, but you see, the oil companies, the government cannot wake up one day and say you have to cut down the price of fuel. The price of fuel is regulated by the EPRA, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, based on the EPRA Act 2019. But that is also influenced. The price of oil itself is influenced by global factors because we import oil. Kenya, or for example, in the recent past 2021, we spent colossal sums of money to import oil from the Middle East. So there are those global prices, which are determined out there based on the forces of supply and demand out there. There are also logistical issues like transportation, which translate into determination, which influence the determination of the cost of oil. So we cannot just as a country wake up one day and say that this is going to be the cost of
the retail price.
The retail price, because there are extraneous variables in the global market. So what we are saying, therefore, is that there is no point of subsidizing fuel if it is not translating into a reduction in the cost of oil at the pump, petrol at the pump, but we would rather put that money into production. In the current budget, 2022-2023 budget, the government has allocated a colossal 100 billion shillings to go towards subsidy. Our health budget in the current financial year is about 60-something billion shillings. Food and nutrition has been allocated 40-something billion shillings, about 42 billion shillings. So if you put fuel, the budgetary provision for food and oil, it comes to the equivalent of the amount of money that we want to put into what? Into the fuel subsidy for the benefit of the oil the oil companies. Why then don't we put that money into the productive sector of the economy, which is agriculture, which within a very short period of time can translate into a reduction in the cost of what? In the cost of living. So these are the cost-benefit analysis which government needs to do and make a decision. So we are saying that if we are to subsidize consumption, if consumption is to benefit in a sustainable manner, then let us subsidize production.
The issue of production. I think there was also an issue of subsidy on unga. And there were a lot of debate, push and pull.
It's the same argument.
In terms of like, we subsidize unga, but there are no unga in the shelves. So I think it's the major thing is.
I think the last 1 month alone, the government spent about 7 billion shillings on that unga subsidy. The unga was not available in the shelves. Where did the money go to? You see, we have got cartels. We have got cartels in this sector.
Issue now.
We have got cartels.
So maybe, Mr. Walo, looking now back to bottom up in terms of when we break down now in terms of agriculture. We talk about there is. We've seen the fertilizer being flagged by Deputy President Honorable Rigathi Gachagua the other day. What are other things that need to be done under agriculture?
Seedlings. We need to get fast maturing seedlings. We need to provide extension services to the farmer. Those are some of the integral things that we need to do in the agricultural sector. We also need to improve on the infrastructure along the value chain, things to do with warehousing and so on and so forth, and then now go to the marketing side, so that we also ensure that once the farmer produces, there's ready and available market for the produce of the farmer at competitive market rates. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one will really bring a change.
Yes.
For the long term, because I think where we are right now, we were talking about ICU, some were talking about HDU in terms of economy.
Yes.
Some are saying, oh, it's completely dead.
Yes.
We are about the 93 or 97 million in the exchequer.
Yes.
You know, whereby I think, I don't know, you are an expert, Mr. Owalo, and looking back, maybe the last 10 years, is it the issue to do with policy? Because I think we are throwing a blanket, just say corruption, and then like, okay, that is the end of it. Is it about the policy whereby some things were not followed? I
don't really want us to use deficiency in policy as a scapegoat. The problem we have been having in this country is a leadership deficit. This country at all levels has always had the best policy frameworks, the best strategic plans, at line ministry level and even at the level of the implementing agencies.
Right? Yeah.
But the problem we have is implementation. All that we need to do is to strengthen our governance framework. And to strengthen this governance framework, you need leadership that is decisive. That is where the problem has been. Because the leadership that we have had in this country ends up going to bed with the cartels at the expense of the common consumer. That is where the problem is. And once we fix this leadership, strengthen our governance framework, we will be home and dry. Yeah. All we need to do is to implement the policies that are in place and the plans that we have at ministerial level and also at the level of the implementing agencies. That requires a leadership that is decisive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And looking back at devolution, you know,
Yes.
we're talking about almost 12 years now
Yes.
since we moved to the county government.
Yes, devolved government.
Yeah, devolved units.
Yeah.
How much has it done? As an expert from where you sit, do you think you've done enough? Do you think there's room to expand? Because you talk about the issue of implementations.
Yes.
Of making life better. You know, having a good economy. Where are we right now in terms of devolution?
We have not done well in devolution. Again, because of lack of foresight in leadership. First of all, we end up electing as governors individuals who don't understand the functional domain of a governor. You see, it is mind-boggling that we have got a lot of potential within our counties, but those potentials are not adequately exploited. Why? Because we talk of inadequate resources. In the thinking of our county governments, the financing has to come from the national government. So they come up with the so-called CIDPs, County Integrated Development Plans, with very good suggestions by way of development priorities. But the money that is available from the exchequer, based on the revenue sharing postulated by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, is a drop in the ocean compared to the financial outlay that we require at the level of the counties to be able to implement those development priorities. What then do our counties need to do? One, the counties must identify alternative sources of revenue, own revenue, as opposed to relying on the national exchequer. That money from the national exchequer is a drop in the ocean. It cannot sustain any meaningful development. In fact, a substantial proportion of it goes towards recurrent what? Recurrent expenditure. We need to identify our own revenue streams at the county level and find ways and means of exploiting them. The CIDPs, as a planning tool, is what the counties need to use to go to the market, to look for resources. As a county, you know what you want. How then do you get the resources? Not necessarily just from the national government. No. We need to go into the international market and mobilize resources, identify investors with whom we can partner. And then, as opposed to going to the national government to give us the so-called sovereign guarantee, we should then be engaging national government to reform the policy framework so that counties can get into direct public-private partnership with international investors. As we speak today, An investor will not come directly and partner with the county without getting a sovereign guarantee from the what? From the national government. This is where the problem is, and that is where we need to review the what? The policy through an appropriate legislative intervention. Let us have an appropriate legislative intervention that would enable the counties go into direct public-private partnership with international investors without necessarily looking for sovereign guarantee from the national government. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. And in terms of
maybe before we continue, let me also just give you another angle to it. Counties have been coming together to form the so-called regional economic blocks. Yeah. Why are they amalgamating their efforts through the regional economic blocks? So that they can enjoy economies of scale, pull together resources available at their disposal, and see how to use that as a comparative advantage in the market, in the marketplace. As we speak, we don't have an enabling policy framework on which the regional economic blocks is anchored. So that's another area that the national government definitely will look at, yeah, so that we have got an enabling policy framework that can enable the counties realize their full potential through the regional economic block, so that they enjoy economies of scale. Yeah.
Maybe before we look again, we revisit the Big Four agenda.
Yes.
In terms of we've seen the president talk about, like, we are going to implement that.
Yes.
In this Kenya Kwanza government.
Yeah.
There's been an issue about the CBC.
Yes.
Talking about the CBC, the curriculum, and the state of jobs for the young people in this country.
Yeah.
What do you think as a policy expert in terms of CBC on your view and the job market? Because there's been a narrative that, we produce a lot of, scholars, but perhaps
the skills are not aligned to the needs of the market.
The needs of the market. What do you think?
You see, the problem with the CBC is the way it was introduced. It was a radical shift from the norm. Anytime you are introducing a change program, you need to bring on board the key stakeholders so that their views are integrated into that process.
So there were no consultation?
There wasn't adequate consultations.
Adequate.
If you talk to, there wasn't adequate consultations. If you talk to sector specialists, in the education sector specialists, they'll tell you that there was the level of consultation was deficient. And the president has already said that we are going to have a task force. Yeah, I think the process of constituting that task force is ongoing now. We will have a task force, not just to look at CBC alone, but to look at all emerging issues in the education sector that the government needs to respond to. We have got a deficiency of about 116,000 teachers. Yeah, those need to be looked at. We have got a lot of challenges within the universities. Most of our universities, public universities, are collapsing. All this needs to be what? To be looked at. So there's a vicious chain, circle of issues that need to be addressed in the education sector, and a task force constituted by experts, consisting of experts, is soon going to come into place to address those issues and give recommendations to government for purposes of implementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the part of creating jobs, I know this is a big area whereby,
on which our agenda is based.
Yes. The agenda, because everyone thinks like, okay, the government is here, you're going to sort everything. What is the plan? Because I understand you have the plan.
Yes.
And what is
how do we create jobs?
Yeah, how do we create jobs? Because I think that's a big area. Yeah.
One, to create jobs, you put money into agriculture. Yeah, make our agricultural sector productive. That agriculture is the backbone of the Kenyan economy. If you put money into agriculture, then you are going to create jobs along the value chain by way of manufacturing enterprises in the agricultural agricultural sector. Yes. The second intervention that we want to put in place, which is also one of our thematic areas in our bottom-up economic plan, is housing. We anticipate that or envisage that we are going to, we are targeting to produce to build 250,000 low-cost housing. This will create jobs for our millions of youth who are currently jobless by way of provision of what? Of labor, on one hand. But on the other hand, we are also going to create market for the Juakali the Juakali sector, so that the supplies into the housing industry, will come from our Juakali sector. Doors, windows, and so on and so forth will come from the Juakali sector. That again is a critical intervention that would give us about 1 million jobs created every year. So if we put money, and by the way, we are not introducing some cost into the budget line in the housing sector. The government is only putting in place an appropriate policy framework and asking the private sector to come in,
the key players,
the key players, and do what? And construct low-cost housing. And then the government ensures that the policy framework provides available market for it at institutional level. We have got institutions there now buying the houses and offloading to their employees, for example, at low-cost housing, at low cost, so that we are even able to afford mortgage with a repayment rate of about 10 to 15,000 shillings per month.
Okay. So talking about the low-cost housing, there was within the Big Four agenda.
Yes.
About
of the Jubilee government.
The Jubilee government.
Yes.
And I had the president saying we are going to make sure that that one is done.
Yes.
In terms of affordable housing. Where are we right
the
now?
Plan was okay. The plan was okay. From what I hear,
the low cost.
The plan was in place, but the focus of government shifted to politics. Politics took center stage in the second term of the Jubilee government. So the Jubilee government, from what I'm told, because I was not part of it, lost focus on its Big Four agenda. Priorities shifted from housing, priorities shifted from agriculture to the BBI project. So a lot of resources which was actually supposed to go to some of those sectors was diverted to the BBI project, which was stillborn from the beginning, if you ask me.
Yeah, from the beginning. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eliud. Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back on the second part of this conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Youth Smartphone Network. Tindo chepchepindo ne mibarak ak inyorchi beit ne nyumnyum. Asinyoru fiber sim card igugulen kityo getfiber.com. Inyit details chekuge ak iyokte. Ibun agents chejok sim card agoi ole imi ako registanin. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile. Fiber Mobile, truly Kenyan.
Imarisha burudani yako na Star Times. Jibambe na surprises za kipekee kwenye channel zetu za watoto, filamu za Hollywood, Nollywood na Bollywood. Upinzani unaposisimua magwiji, mabao kalikali kutoka ligi kuu ya Ulaya, Bundesliga. Telenovelas moto za kuguza moyo wako. Kama ni wanyamapori au mtindo wa kimaisha, unapata zaidi kwenye Star Times kwa bei ile ile. Jiunge sasa kwenye Aerial Classic Bouquet kwa shilingi 899. Utazame zaidi ya chaneli 75 au Dish Smart Bouquet kwa shilingi 999 tu kwa zaidi ya chaneli 105 kwa siku 30. Burudani ya hali ya juu kwa bei ya furaha.
Asi imuch ibaraste mungarengung en Kass SME, ibirchi simet sales team en number 0747527788 anan iyokte email kwo sales@kassfm.co.ke. Ibara mungarengung raini kokebaraste en Kass SME.
Join the fastest, reliable and most affordable smartphone network. To get the fiber SIM card, simply Google getfiber.com. Fill in your details and submit your request. Our agents will deliver the SIM card and onboard you. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile.
itagat kora jitab kalenjin en Kass TV en ngalalet noton nekitinye en betut noton nebo raini nebo Kass TV yekimiten koboto Eliud Owalo. Inendet ko UDA Deputy Secretary General in Policy and Strategy en yaet noton nebo bandab tai en serikalit nebo Kenya Kwanza. Niton ngalalet niton go bottom up economic agenda kele tosune agenda ago kisuldoito en oret anon taretoito en ano mkulima itinye biashara noton mingin entrepreneur en lambaga imingalagap SMEs nitango en yaet noton nebo mungarosek che mengechin go taretoito en ano ngalagap bottom up. Welcome back Mr. Eliud Owalo. And during campaign,
yes,
you know, we talk about the first 100 days,
yes,
the promise.
Yes.
How far? I think I remember when Deputy President had an interview with one of the TV station.
Yes.
And he said, you know, you can't judge us. We are only 5 days old. I think today is around 8 or 9 or 10 days old.
But if you
I know there's still the issue of cabinet, you know, not constituted, you know, so that maybe we start the count from there. But so far, you know, when you want to travel, you start by planning, you know, nitavaa nguo, nitavaa ile, you know, nitaamka saa ngapi kesho. So how are the plans so far?
You see, some of those
Yes.
promises which we made during the campaign did not really need some major policy reviews, but they just needed decisive action by leadership. For example, there was the issue of the judges, who were recommended to the president by the Judicial Service Commission, but the president, the former president did not appoint. That has already been done, and they have been sworn in, so that is a tick. 2, there is the issue of independence of our institutions, which are charged with the responsibility of ensuring that there is zero tolerance to corruption. For a beginning, the National Police Service has already been given financial autonomy by way of an executive order by the president, that now the Inspector General of Police is going to be an accounting officer, an AIE holder. So they'll be having their own resources, as opposed to the hitherto situation where they were relying on the office of the president for purposes of what? Of funding. Which means now they can identify their own programs based on their functional mandate, fund the programs, align the resources to the programs that they want to implement without undue influence from the office of the what? President. That will give the, and the president has also said that we are going to ensure that other independent institutions like the EACC, the Office of the Auditor General, will get adequate funding so that they are strengthened. And then these institutions will also be depoliticized. We have been having a lot of political influence in the affairs of these commissions, yet from the executive. Yet they are supposed to be what? Independent what? Commissions as per the constitution. That political interference is not going to be there anymore. The government, the Kenya Kwanza government, will allow independent commissions to execute their mandate without reference to the executive. The issue of the judiciary fund, again, that one already has been, a proclamation has been made to that effect, because it is in the constitution that the judiciary needs to be, adequate funding needs to go to the judiciary, so that we have got impartial discharge of our judicial, within our judicial framework. You see, the three arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, are supposed to be independent of each other, yet complementary. But we have been having a situation where there has been certain instances of the executive interfering in the affairs of the other two arms of what? Two arms of government. That will be a thing of the past. The president has made it very clear that the legislature and the judiciary will be truly independent, and they will execute their mandates without interference from the executive. The other issue was the issue of the CBC. A task force is already being constituted to look at issues in the education sector, issues touching on CBC, issues touching on the shortage of teachers, issues to do with the challenges and emerging issues within our institutions of higher learning, and so on and so forth. The issue of salaries and remuneration to the police. That again will be addressed in liaison with the National Police Service Commission on one hand, and also the Salary Review Commission on the other. As we speak, the SRC is already embarked on a process of a job evaluation exercise for the entire civil service that would ensure that our jobs in the civil service are rewarded to a level commensurate with their contributing component. We will reward the jobs to a level based on what value they are giving to the to the service by way of delivery. And we will also ensure that those salaries within the civil service are not just internally equitable, but also externally competitive, benchmarked with prevailing market rates, with a view to enhancing motivation of staff within the civil service, so that we can have some increase in the level of efficiency and effectiveness by way of service provision. So most of these promises which were made to be delivered within the first 100 days, they are either been done or they are work in progress. Yeah,
it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
and. There's a question I posted that you will be coming to the show.
Yes.
And mostly I've seen several guys asking about the same.
Yes.
The issue of Mama Bogas.
Yes.
Like the guys down there.
Yes, at the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah, the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
They are asking like, can our lives change in 100 days, or what are the plans the government?
You see, we have got the 50 billion Hustler Fund.
Hustler Fund, yes.
This fund will be operationalized soon, and the framework for implementation would ensure that this money reaches the common mwananchi down there, the itinerary traders, or the youth who are involved in small businesses at the bottom of the pyramid. We are going to roll out this fund through an elaborate infrastructure that goes down all the way to the polling station. How will this happen? The same way we vote around the polling station, we will use the infrastructure that will be put in place. We are going to establish a special purpose vehicle to roll out this fund. And we will start by identifying the potentials of the people around the polling station, so that we determine, by way of comparative advantage, what are the opportunities the youth can get involved in, what are the opportunities the women, our mothers and sisters, can get involved in. Once that is done, we will have an arm of that service delivery vehicle getting involved in entrepreneurial training. Basic business skills. How do you run the business? How do you develop business plans? How do you monitor or track the performance of your business, and so on and so forth? Why are we doing this? We are doing this because we don't just want to give out money, but we also want to ensure that once the money is given to the youth and our mothers and sisters, they are able to embark on their businesses in a sustainable manner by being equipped with the relevant skills. Now, this money will be available at below the prevailing market rates, because the greatest challenge that we have been having at the level of itinerary trade is access to access to credit. So it will be at very minimal rates by way of interest, so that the businesses are able not just to pay back, but are also able to roll out their ventures in a sustainable manner. So yes, this is being rolled out, and in due course we will have money available at the bottom of the pyramid at the disposal of the youth and our mothers and sisters at the grassroots level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is a comment or like a view.
Yes.
I've seen several guys saying thank you so much, Elil, for coming through the show. Then there is, let me just read one from Richard Kibet. It says he's a driver in Kericho.
Yes.
And I'll paraphrase so that, because I've seen almost similar question on the issue of fuel. He's saying, could you ask Eliud what he thinks? The way they are thinking themselves, they're giving their view. Like, suppose we scrap off some of the taxes on fuel. He's asking, like, will the price go down? And what will be the position of the government on that? We've said fuel is there's a global, there's other factors, globally.
Yes.
Because we import.
Yes.
So they are saying there are almost 5 or 6 guys asking the same thing, like we reduce on some of the taxes.
I understand this concern about fuel. You see, oil contributes in several sectors of our life. One, we need oil for transport. We need oil for manufacturing. Yeah, we need oil for generation of electricity. We even need oil for provision of water.
Yeah.
Now, it is not just a question of the taxes that is making the price high. For example, the fuel development levy, which is one of the taxes. This fuel development levy is supposed to go towards the stabilization fund. The stabilization fund is basically to make to sustain or to stabilize the prices in instances where the price is either too high or the price is is too low. That is the essence of the fuel levy. Okay, so it is not really the tax that is making the cost of fuel to be high. It's a question of disproportionalities in the market based on some of those issues I talked about. Cartels in the oil sector, hoarding fuel, take advantage of the consumer. Also, the global factors out there, transport, logistics, prevailing market rates out there. Because ideally, you cannot sell fuel or any commodity for that matter at below cost. Are you getting it? Yeah. So it is not really the level of taxation. The fuel levy is meant to go into the stabilization fund with a view to stabilizing the prices. In instances where the prices are too high, then there is some direct payoff to the oil consumers, and that is passed on to the oil producers, to the oil company, marketing companies, and that is supposed to be ideally passed on to the consumer at the pump by way of short prices. Lower prices.
Okay. I don't know. There's a comment from Joyce Chipto in Eldoret, saying, I don't know if you'd like to maybe touch on that. She was asking about the issue of some of the government parastatals. In terms of the service delivery. This is in regards to there was a circular or a notice put out by Kass in terms of the cooking oil. Yes. That some were not legitimate, some maybe had some issues. So this is asking, but then, what do you think going forward in terms of the government parastatals to make sure that they are doing the right thing? Not to wait until when it's too late and then you raise an alarm over something.
If those oil products are not supposed to be on our shelves, then how did they get there in the first place? That means there's an anomaly somewhere. And if KEBS, which is supposed to be the standardization entity in the market, has already said that they are not supposed to be in the shelf, how comes they are still on the shelves? That means there's lack of enforcement. But how did they get there in the place? That means there's a missing link somewhere. There's somebody sleeping on the on the job. So moving forward, we really expect within the Kenya Kwanza governance framework that parastatals are expected to execute their mandate effectively for the benefit of the Kenyan people. If there are parastatals which are not executing their mandate properly, then those parastatals will actually face sanctions.
Absolutely. There's Jackson Steele from Kitale. Jackson says, thank you so much, Eliud. And the question, or just a view, is raising is on the issue of production. He says we talk about the production of, especially the Kitale, the basket.
The maize basket.
So the issue was about, he's saying, now when the government, the government of Kenya Kwanza, the Kenya Kwanza government, put in place the issue of production, is sorted, and then we produce enough. So it's asking about, will we be able again to go back where we were, whereby after production you are told the NCBP stores are full, there's no market, because we overproduce or something like that. Because I think we experienced that around 2 years ago, or about a year ago, whereby you go to the stores and then there's nowhere you can sell. What you produce.
That's why
so
I
it's
talked
asking
of,
like, what are the plans
you see, there are two
now?
issues here. You look at the supply side, and
the
also
demand.
you look at the demand side. You cannot be sorting out the supply side and you forget about the demand side. You must also look at the policy framework that would ensure that we have got ready market for the produce of the farmer. They go hand in hand. And that's why we are saying we must have a sound policy, policy framework in place.
Okay. So I think the issue of supply and demand.
And demand, yes.
Yeah, and maybe one more thing, maybe if you can touch, because I believe it falls under the policy and strategy as well.
Yeah.
We've seen year in, year out the issue of drought, famine, especially the northern part of Kenya.
Yeah.
Yesterday during the prayer, the Thanksgiving prayers, instead of President talks about that, about looking at the governors and the counties, on all of us, we put our heads together and try and solve those issues. We've seen when rain comes.
Yes. We have floods.
But
we are not harvesting the water.
We are not harvesting those water.
Yeah.
What do you think from where you sit in terms of the policy and strategy on having a long-term solution?
You see, we have got within government, under the ambit, within the framework of the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, or Water and Sanitation, we have got the National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. What is the functional mandate of this entity? One, it is supposed to ensure that when we have got excess supply of water, that water is harvested, there is adequate storage, and this then, the same water is now discharged when we have got instances of what? Instances of drought. So ideally, we are not supposed to be complaining about drought if our planning framework or implementation framework was actually up to the level required. It's basically because of failure, in the what? In our policy interventions. We are supposed to have adequate water storage. We are not even supposed to be over-relying on rain-fed agriculture. We are actually supposed to optimally exploit our potential using what? Irrigation-fed agriculture. But we are over-relying on rain-fed agriculture because we are not able to harvest the rain and store that water and use it in instances of drought. So it's basically market failure, if you ask me.
So it's an issue of market failure.
Yeah.
And the Kenya Kwanza government, because when we talk about this famine, it also talks about the loss of life.
Yes.
Children get malnourished, and everything goes at a standstill. Yeah.
You see, that the government had got an ambitious program for dams for purposes of storage of water.
Yeah.
But from where I sit, I think some of those issues were over-politicized. The issues of the dam were over-politicized. If the government went ahead with the programs that they had with respect to storage of water without introducing extraneous variables like politics into the planning framework, perhaps we will not be talking about shortage of water today. But I'm told from that there were arbitrary budgetary cuts, for some of those dams, which were envisaged in the plan of the Jubilee government because of political considerations. And here we are now, we are talking about drought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Eliud. And before we wind up, several guys, say thank you, and they're very quite optimistic. And what would you like to tell them,
the parting shot.
Yeah, the parting shot. Because
well,
about the
first of all,
100 days.
Yes. One, let me thank Kenyans for breaking the shackle of tribal politics, and for the first time since the advent of our multi-party politics, I would say that we have seen a truly issue-based campaign that informed the election of William Ruto as the president of the Republic of Kenya. With that now in place, a government now in place led by Ruto, all we need now is cooperation and support from all Kenyans, irrespective of how they voted. We have got one government. We have got a Kenyan people, and that government is ready to serve all Kenyans, irrespective of how they voted during the last elections. Let us give the government the cooperation, the enabling environment that the government requires to enable it implement the promises that it made to the people. From where I sit, I can state authoritatively without fear of contradiction that the William Ruto-led government, Kenya Kwanza government, will deliver on the promises that it made to the people. Yeah.
Okay, so...
The will is there.
The will is there.
The people are there.
And the work here is to be done.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Eliud, for your time. I know you have a very busy schedule, and we really appreciate for finding time to come and speak to us. Maybe the next 2 weeks again, if you get a minute or two,
yes,
you're welcome back, so that you'll be able to keep in track, and keep in checks on what's new each and every.
I'll be ready and available.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Asante.
It was indeed my pleasure.
Karibu tena.
Asante.
Alright, tafkana nchina tangi tukinuta nembe tunatana baraini en olibo studio natana ba Kass Tv ga sangalega ran cheche ngon meseng che ga ngalalen yoga tage ba iso nigen nguni en serikali natana ba Kenya Kwanza en peduse karan che miten en tai ago karagi mutu dai ke terterchin sabi tai go taretin en kona isin agmi bata Eliud Owalo en ko UDA Deputy Secretary General en ko bertana natana ba Policy and Strategy ngalalen go ba bottom up economic agenda, the plan. Kitu kinuta ne bitu natanda waraini kaina nyon ko Stanley Bore.
Hello, Inspector J-Boy. Yes, Sula, how are you? I am very fine, Inspector. Ina nawaza baby. Ami maternity. Au sili au daktari agora? Daktari wakunga. Wakunga hii. Alia. Wananikosea heshima kabisa, Inspector. Alia. Na kwenda wakifike hii. Sababu kuchunasa kutinyegenyisha kata Inspector. Baboya jawa matiani. Exactly. Kakisila kwenda kiende nasari. Akili wacha gai nasari. 3 days. Ana nguo. Awana weto hiyo mtoto hapo nasari ndani. Acha tu la manamba zugul. Nasari. Sagaita idara gazi nywa. Aja.
Asinyoru nasari kuigisikiza kiune ngungi. Ejil star 860 star 842 hash. Kass kokimnatetab comedians ak tienik tugul.
Have you ever imagined dying on the job?
Why would you think about that? You have nothing. You are disturbing a lot of very powerful wallets here. It's a fact, not a threat.
I cannot help you.
Where do you think the money comes from?
Guilty.
Hang on, McKenna.
Sanura amerudi kwa wala sonyo. Mtu yeyote asifungue kinywa chake kuongea na yeyote.
Wewe unasimama kidete kupinga mila ambazo wewe ulizifanya.
Mtoto wa kike akifikia umri anapaswa kuolewa, si kuleta familia yake shida.
Sanura lazima olewe na Dula.
Catch every single moment of all 64 matches of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Live on SuperSport. Here for every fan. Only on DSTV.
Chut Smartphone Network. Nitindo jepchabinda ne mibarag. Aginyor chibe ne nyum. Asinyoru fiber SIM card igugulen gityo getfiber.com. Inye details cheguge agiyopte. Ibun agents chejog SIM card ago yolemi ago registanin. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile. Fiber Mobile, truly Kenyan.
Imarisha burudani yako na Star Times. Jibambe na surprises za kipekee kwenye channel zetu za watoto, filamu za Hollywood, Nollywood na Bollywood. Upinzani unaposisimua magwiji, mabao kalikali kutoka ligi kuu ya Ulaya Bundesliga. Telenovelas moto za kuguza moyo wako. Kama ni wanyamapori au mtindo wa kimaisha, unapata zaidi kwenye Star Times kwa bei ile ile. Jiunge sasa kwenye Aerial Classic Bouquet kwa shilingi 899. Utazame zaidi ya chaneli 75 au Dish Smart Bouquet kwa shilingi 999 tu kwa zaidi ya chaneli 105 kwa siku 30. Burudani ya hali ya juu kwa bei ya furaha.
Asi imuch ibaraste mungarengung en Kass SME, ibirchi simet sales team en number 0747-527-788 anan iyokte email kwo sales@kassfm.co.ke. Ibara mungarengung raini kokebaraste en Kass SME.
Join the fastest, reliable and most affordable smartphone network. To get the fiber SIM card, simply Google getfiber.com. Fill in your details and submit your request. Our agents will deliver the SIM card and onboard you. Furahia mtandao na Fiber Mobile.
Imarisha burudani yako na Star Times. Jibambe na surprises za kipekee kwenye channel zetu za watoto, filamu za Hollywood, Nollywood na Bollywood. Upinzani unaposisimua magwiji, mabao kalikali kutoka ligi kuu ya Ulaya Bundesliga. Telenovelas moto za kuguza moyo wako. Kama ni wanyamapori au mtindo wa kimaisha, unapata zaidi kwenye Star Times kwa bei ile ile. Jiunge sasa kwenye Aerial Classic Bouquet kwa shilingi 899. Utazame zaidi ya chaneli 75 au Dish Smart Bouquet kwa shilingi 999 tu kwa zaidi ya chaneli 105 kwa siku 30. Burudani ya hali ya juu kwa bei ya furaha.
So glad we're here together, 'cause there's nothing better than an adventure from the book. No matter what the weather, you'll find us together having adventures from the book. That's action and adventure. More stories than I can mention. Do we love it? Yo, what you? We love the book. Oh, yeah.
This is so boring.
I sure do wish something would happen.
Me too.
I know I said I wanted something to happen, but that's not exactly what I meant, Gallop.
I just wanted to see.
Well, are you a horse or a dragon? Talk about being full of hot air.
Well, fine. I just won't breathe at all then.
be fair, everyone. Gallup can't help it if he's got a distinguished profile.
Oh, that's just a nice way to say that you have a big snout.
Tex!
Well, luckily this buckaroo's face is flat and round, which comes in mighty handy sometimes. All right, stand back, y'all. I'll show you what I mean. Yeehaw!
Wow! Look at him go!
Yeehaw! Now, if we can just keep that dragon-breathing horse away from the glass, well...
All right, that's enough, Tex. Aw, Tex doesn't mean it, Gallup. It's all this rain. It's just making everyone a little bit cranky.
Pete's right, Gallup. After all, it has been raining for days.
Sorry. That thunder kind of scared me.
You know, it could go on like this for weeks. Hi, Chip. Do you have a suggestion?
Well, here I was worried about being bored. Come on, fellas. Let's all watch Chip clean his windshield.
I don't understand what you're trying to say, Chip. What is it? Does anybody understand what he's trying to say? Because I sure don't.
Wait a minute. Chip, that's a great idea. I know just what we can do. There's a great story in the book about a rainstorm that was much worse than this.
Take cover!
I doubt any rainstorm could have been much worse than this.
Trust me, Beans, it was a lot worse. Hey, Gus! Over here, buddy! Gus! Gus, down here! Hang on, whoa, look out! Here I go! Go, Pete! Yahoo! Come on, everyone! Let's have some fun!
Yeehaw! A story from the book is a great idea. Last one to the counter is a rotten egg. No offense, fellas. Come on, let's go. Yeehaw! Uh-oh. Wow! Whoa! Nelly! Hey, wait a minute! Hey, come back here! Hey, Gus, stop already! Hey, Pete!
Tex, what are you doing up here?
Pretending to be a kite. What do you think I'm doing, Flyboy? Get me off this thing!
Tex!
Hey, Gus, stop already! Hey, Pete!
Hang on back here, Tex! I'll get you down! Just a little longer, buddy! Hold on! Hurry! We're coming down, Tex! Stay in there! Hang in there! Hurry, hurry, hurry! There you go!
Tex, hold on, okay? Tex, here I come.
Tex, I believe you are the last one to the counter, which makes you the rotten egg. Hey, ain't it about time for that story we was hearing about?
Tex is right, everyone. Let's get ready for tonight's story. Chip? Chip, can you organize the worker toys so that we can set up the stage?
Okie dokie.
Soldiers!
Sir, yes, sir.
Secure all windows and doors. We don't want any surprises this time, okay?
Yes, sir.
Great. One last thing to organize, and we're in business. Okay, the rest of you, listen up. It's time to choose parts for the story of the greatest rainstorm in history. Let's see. Hold on, everybody. Just one at a time, okay?
Me.
Over. Yeah, you got it. Come on.
Oh, but it's great, Mama. Look at all these buttons. Oh, boy, look at these levers and these buttons. Oh, hey, what does this button do?
Hey, I'm stuck here. Oh, daylight. Gallop, you get the lead role.
Me? Little old me? Oh, gosh. I never thought I'd be a star.
Okay, bring it over here. Come on home. There we go.
Great. So everyone knows what part they're playing? Is everybody ready? Then it's time for a great story from the book. Our story begins about 1,600 years after Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden, which was a long time ago. Now, the man that lived in this house was an amazing man. I said, the man was amazing. Gallop, that's your cue.
Oh, well, Noah may have been courageous, but the horse is a chicken. I am not. No, you're too. Are they gone yet? Pete, I'm scared. Everyone is looking at me. I don't think I can do this.
It's okay, Gallop. You can do it. We all know you can. Right, everybody?
They like me. They really like me. Oh, I can do this. Hi, everyone. I'm Noah.
Hi, Noah! Now, Noah wasn't courageous because he fought in great battles or anything like that. He was courageous because he listened to God when very few people did.
What do you mean, Pete? Why didn't other people want to listen to God?
Yeah! Since Adam and Eve were banished from the garden, people had continued to defy God and do their own thing. People were killing each other, stealing, and many other bad things. And very few people were left that loved God or even cared that He was their creator. One day, God decided that everything had gone too far. He had had enough. So He called on the only faithful man that was left.
Noah!
That's right, Beans. God called on Noah.
Noah, don't be afraid.
Oh, yes, Lord.
I've decided to destroy all living creatures, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. Yes, I will wipe them all from the face of the earth. Now, Noah, listen to me. Make a boat from cypress wood and seal it inside and out with tar. I'm about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing. Everyone on earth will die.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. Huh? Did I hear that right? God's gonna destroy the world?
Yes.
Oh, man. Everybody I know lives there. Now, wait just a minute. We ain't a part of this rainstorm flood right now, are we?
No, Tex. As a matter of fact, this story is how I know that the rain will stop and the sun will shine again.
But Pete, people are still doing all those bad things today. How can you be so sure?
Yeah! You'll see what I mean as we continue this story.
Well, we got us an ark to build, so let's get started. Oh, yeah, nails. I'm sure I love nails. We need some 2x4s and a bunch of other numbers. You guys, you can do that. Okay, everybody get your drills and get your tools and get your hammers, because we're going to build us an ark. There's only one thing I need to know. What's an ark?
Good question.
Well, Gallup, God told Noah exactly how to build the ark.
Oh, an ark's a ship. What do you know?
The ark was to be 300 cubits long, by 50 cubits wide, by 30 cubits high.
Okay, a cubit. Sure. Okay, let me see. Inches, we got meters, centimeters. Well, whoa. There ain't no cubits. What is a cubit?
Well, a cubit is an old form of measurement. Each cubit is equal to 1.5 feet, or a half meter today. So when we calculate the cubits, we find that the ship Noah was to build would be the length of 1.5 football fields, or the size of a battleship.
Wow. That's okay, all right. So Noah had to oversee a crew to build a ship. How does that make him courageous?
Well, Tex, it was a lot more difficult than that. First of all, there were no power tools back then.
What? No.
No pre-cut lumber, no forklifts, no nails, no help, and no experience. Noah had never built even a small boat, much less an ocean liner.
I guess not. Goodbye.
Don't worry, pal.
What? Oh, no. Hey, wait, fellas, don't go. No, don't come bring back your tools, please. Oh, come on, Pete. What? I'm supposed to build a ship this big all by myself? I can't do it.
Well, no, not all by yourself.
Oh. Well, thank goodness. I was starting to worry.
Actually, Noah had a little help from his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
What? Oh, God wanted 4 people to build a boat the size of a battleship?
Yup. Oh, did I mention that when Noah started construction, he was 500 years old?
What? Oh.
This is why Noah was a courageous man. God told him to do something that seemed to be impossible, and he never questioned God. He just did it.
Yo, Dad, come on, man, wake up. Hey, wait a minute, guys. I'm up. Hey, smells like a hot barn. Now, Pete, do you realize how long it's going to take for 4 people to build this thing, huh?
Well, let's see. It took hundreds of people many years to build the Titanic. And it takes even more people a longer time to build a battleship, and that's with power tools and the whole works. According to the book, oh, here it is. It should take you and your 3 sons 120 years to build the ark.
Why couldn't anyone else help them? Did God say only Noah and his family could do it?
No, Tina. Noah would have loved to have had help, but no one believed him. They all thought he was crazy and made fun of him. They didn't care about what Noah said God was going to do. After all, they didn't care about God anyway. All they cared about was themselves. Then one day, Noah was done. The ark was 450 feet long, 45 feet high, 75 feet wide, with 3 floors. There was a small opening all the way around the deck for air, and only 1 door and 1 window. It rested in the desert, hundreds of miles from the nearest ocean. It was the fulfillment of what God had told Noah to do, and God was pleased.
Now, Noah, go into the boat with all your family, for among all the people of the earth I consider you alone to be righteous. Take along 7 pairs of each animal I've approved for eating and for sacrifice, and take 1 pair of each of the others. Then select 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and a female in each pair to ensure that every kind of living creature will survive the flood. I will begin 40 days and 40 nights of rain, and I'll wipe from the earth all the living things I have created.
But everyone still laughed at Noah. They thought he was a joke. But he continued to be faithful and do everything God said.
I don't care what you think. I'm doing the right thing. Okay, everyone, 2 by 2, just like God said. Okay, come on now, there's one elephant. Where's your partner? I don't. Okay, foxes, that's good, that's good. Bears, I like a bear. You got, okay, 2 crocodile gators, that's good. Okay, rabbits, just 2. Camels, hey, there you are. Pete, come on now, how's that going to work? Some of them animals don't like each other or people. That's awfully tight quarters. Yes,
Well, Tex, remember, this was God's mission. He spoke and the animals listened. They came together and lived in peace on the ark. Noah and his family went inside. The door closed and they waited for a whole month. Then the rains came.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it's
Here come
us.
the rainmakers. All right,
It's been a while since you've been up here, huh?
Yeah, makes you get a good grip.
Don't tell me, I got my share.
Yeah, that's some rain for you. What do you think?
There you go.
It wasn't long after that that the people laughing at Noah began to get very worried. And with good reason.
You don't think Noah could be right? All right, now wait. God isn't really going to kill all those people, is he?
I'm afraid he is, Tex. They had all been warned. Remember, Noah had been building the ark for over 100 years. Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and the animals listened as the cries went silent. Noah was sad that no one had listened or believed. God had made a promise, and he always keeps his promises.
This is scary.
You think this is scary? Imagine being on the ark. Very little light, the storm raging, water splashing against the sides, and wondering if the ship you built can withstand the storm. And knowing that the people and animals on the ark are the only ones left alive in the world. The water was starting to cover the earth. The whole earth.
Could a rainstorm really cover the whole earth with water?
It wasn't just rain, Tina. Hit it, Chip. Underground waters burst forth on the earth.
Wee! It's like a giant water main broke.
So much water flowed onto the earth that the highest mountain peaks disappeared underneath it. And then...
Stop!
The water stopped coming, but it had covered the whole earth. All living things that weren't on the ark died in the flood.
Just as God said, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights non-stop. And when it did stop, there was no sign of land anywhere for days, weeks, or even months.
That's right. Noah, his family, and the animals were on the ark for months, not just 40 days and 40 nights.
It's been months since the water covered the earth and there's still no sign of land. Oh, how much longer can our food supply hold out? Oh, I wonder if God has forgotten about us. No, now wait a minute. I know God's not forgotten us. I'm sure of that. After all, 4 people built this boat. I just need to be patient and wait.
Of course, Noah was right. God remembered his faithful servants. And when the time was right, he sent a wind to blow across the waters.
Okay, this will clean up some... Ouch.
Finally, exactly 5 months, that's 150 days after the flood began, something wonderful happened.
Look! Oh, we've hit land!
At last, the ark had come to rest on the high peaks of Mount Ararat. The mountain is 3 miles high, and thousands of miles away from where the ark was built. Remember, Noah didn't steer the ark. It wasn't built with sails or a steering wheel or an engine. The ark landed on the mountain just as God had planned. A safe place for Noah, his family, and the animals to wait for the water to settle.
Oh, does this mean we can get off this ark soon?
Sorry, Gallup. There was still a lot of water that had to drain away. It would be 2.5 more months before the water would go down enough for any other mountain peaks to appear. But God had given Noah the knowledge he needed to find out when it would be safe to leave the ark. Noah first used ravens to see if there were any trees or land that were no longer covered by water.
Okay, Raven. It's been 40 days since those mountain peaks appeared over there. Go see what you can find.
Noah released a raven every day to fly back and forth until the earth was dry. Next, Noah released a dove. Now, doves will only land on dry ground. At first, the dove found no place to land because the water was still too high. 7 days later, Noah released the dove again. This time, toward evening, the bird returned to him with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. This was a good sign. Noah now knew that the water was almost gone. A week later, he released the dove again. This time, the dove did not come back. This was also a good sign. It meant that the dove had found dry land and a new home. Noah waited 2 more months until finally the earth was dry. He wanted to wait until God told him to leave to make sure it was safe. After all, the only survivors were in his care on the ark. And so he waited. And sure enough, God did speak to him again.
Noah,
Oh, yes, Lord.
come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you. Bring the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number upon it.
Yes, sir! It sure feels good to be on dry land. You said it!
Oh, I'll say, I'm 601 years old, but I don't feel a day over 372.
We're walking.
Okay, take it careful, man. Okay.
The very first thing that Noah did when he left the ark was to worship God. This pleased God very much. Again, he spoke to Noah.
Never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though every desire of his heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done.
God has truly blessed us.
And then, God did something very special. He made a covenant with Noah and all his descendants.
What's that?
Pete, what is a covenant?
A covenant is a promise that will never be broken by God. God promised that he would never send another flood to kill all the living creatures and destroy the earth. That's how I know it'll stop raining. And as a sign of that promise, God did something really special. Show him, Chip. He sent a rainbow so that at the end of every storm, we can be reminded of the hope of his unbroken promise.
The story ends with a new beginning and a promise from God to all of us. The end. Oh, I always wanted to say that.
Wait! Look! What is it, soldier?
Sir, the rain has stopped and the clouds are parting, sir! Did he say the clouds were parting?